So say, what's the word, people? Today I'm going to be talking on an issue that's really been on my mind heavy. Um, as y'all can see, uh, the issue I want to speak on is mental health, and um, certain people suffer from different different mental health diseases. Um, I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a medical official. I'm not none of that. But what I'm bringing to everybody's notice is mental health is an issue that needs to be really touched on in the society today. Um, a couple of statistics that really caught my attention was that 450 million people currently suffer from a mental illness. 1 in 4 Americans currently suffer from at least one mental illness. 80% of people suffering from a schizophrenic disorder can reduce symptoms and the possibility of relapses via medical help, therapy, and family assistance. The reason why I'm touching on this subject is because I notice and see that the coronavirus pandemic has really put a lot of people in a depressive state, really messed with people mentally. Um, One thing that I really noticed was a lot of people are really social people. So they look for big crowds and people to be around. That's what makes them go. That's what makes them happy. When Corona hit, it cut out all of that for some people. Um, the thing that uh, we as a society are told is that everything is going to be okay, everything is going to be better, but in reality, it's not. And everything that people experience in life, someone needs someone to talk to, someone needs someone to listen. Everybody just jumps to conclusions. But around 9.5% of U.S. citizens above 18 years old encounter a depressive illness every year. 1 in 5 teens suffer from a mental illness, yet many avoid seeking help. Just to touch on a few things here, um, like I said, 450 million people currently suffer from a mental illness. Roughly 1 in 4 will deal with the mental health issue or neurological disorder during their lifespan, hence why it's essential for people to avoid neglecting their mental health. Um, that's a good point they're touching on right there. The reason why I'm touching on mental health is because I just see a lot of suicides, killings, just people, detaching from who they are as a person. Um, Failure to recognize the warning signs and to seek treatment, either in the form of a therapy or medication, generally leads to worsened symptoms and a considerably low quality of life for those who are affected. According to mental illness statistics, the same study has also concluded that these numbers are steadily growing. Back to what I said about Corona, it really got those numbers up and higher. and some people that really you never really thought had a mental illness because either no one asked or no one ever gave any thought into what was actually the real problem with that person. Um, According to the Hopkins Medical Center, 1 in 4 Americans suffer from a mental illness. The statistics for the U.S. concur with the rest of the world. Closer research has estimated that 26% of U.S. residents aged 18 and older suffer from a mental condition worth diagnosing. Let's see. The WHO estimates that 2/3 of individuals suffering from a mental illness choose to avoid seeking help for their condition. Reports indicate that this choice is generally based on a couple factors, including but not limited to the stigma that is still associated with mental health, lack of education, and expensive healthcare costs. For many, the conditions are debilitating enough that seeking medical care is highly difficult, according to the mental disorder stats. Sorry. So, what I feel is that many people don't believe that they have a mental illness until it's already too late. You've already committed a major crime, or worse, even killing yourself. You know what I mean? So for me, this is a major subject that I just want to touch on because it's happening and nobody's really recognizing it. Being able, like I said, you gotta check on your loved ones and the people around you to see the way that they feel. Get down to the root of the problem. And see if they can seek help. Because some people out here, they need that extra push, that extra motivation. But 9 times out of 10, if a person with mental illness has a supportive system, such as family members, friends who care, you could prevent it to a certain extent. But it starts with love and giving that person the support that they need to get through it. The WHO currently carried out several programs meant to encourage governments to increase mental health awareness. According to recent trends, people have become more accepting of mental conditions, reducing the negative stigma in the process. Despite this, many people continue to fear to share their condition with others. In turn, this further promotes neglect and general lack of understanding regarding mental health, according to mental health statistics. So some people are scared to talk about it, but if you look in the world, there's some athletes that battle with mental illness, and it can be from as little as missing a big shot in the game, or and that can really like change their whole mentality and mind of the way that they approach life, because they feel that people look at them a certain way or look at them different. Over 40% of the countries lack a mental health policy, whereas 30% have no program regarding mental health at all. To make matters worse, it is estimated that around 25% of countries do not even mention mental health in their legislation. As such, there is no law that looks over people suffering from mental illnesses. The lack of recognition is directly responsible for the exponential decrease in the mental health graph worldwide. So if we look at it as a whole, it's not really being brought to anybody's awareness. So this is what I want to do. I want to bring mental health to the awareness of the people that, you know, get a chance to see me post every day, get a chance to see me joke every day. But right now, it's a serious matter going on in the world. It's not even being recognized, and nobody is really looking at it as a big problem when it really is. It can be in our kids from trauma. It can be in our loved ones that, you know, really just been neglected, like, you know. And I just want to take a chance to tell people that there is help. There is things that you can do to get your mental health condition under control, because you can control it. It says studies show that more than 80% of people suffer from a schizophrenic disorder can reduce symptoms and the possibility of relapse if medically treated alongside family intervention are offered. Schizophrenia is generally regarded as an extremely scary mental illness. However, not many people are aware that medical treatment with antipsychotic drugs and family help can eliminate relapses in the future. Therefore, mental illness percentages in this case can be drastically reduced if all people showcasing symptoms would seek health care. So, in my eyes, I feel like the treatment that is being given to people with mental illness, such as therapy, medication, I feel like that's all they do is try to pump you with antidepressants and medications versus actually getting down to the root of the problem, getting down to the problem that is at hand, so you as a person with mental illness can control it. It says antidepressants coupled with psychotherapy can help up to 60% of people suffering from depressive disorders to recover. During the last couple of years, depression has become more widespread. There is no surefire way to cure the condition, yet therapy and antidepressants can do wonders. As this statistic points out, unfortunately, millions of people continue to suffer in silence due to the fear of being judged for the way they feel. This is especially the case for younger adults, as teen mental health statistics point out. So it's more so often in kids, but a lot of people hide that the fact that they have a mental disorder, the fact that they don't suffer from anything, when in reality it's not doing anything but eating them away. And in the long run, either one or two things happen. They don't seek the help and do something crazy to themselves or others, or they just don't ever seek help at all, and it gets worse. Mental illnesses are one of the leading causes of disability and disease worldwide. It is estimated that depression represents the fourth leading cause associated with the worldwide disease burden. According to mental health statistics, if things do not change in the near future, they will reach the second spot by the 2020s, right after heart disease. So even with us experiencing from, was it March of last year to currently, COVID, and how it's basically distancing people from each other, and you know that can be another big cause, and the numbers can get way higher than what they expect, because some people are social beings. Some people need to socialize in order to feel like they're loved, like they're wanted, you know. Just in the world today, like that is crazy for it to be like right behind heart disease. That is a major problem. The prevalence of mental disorder is also linked to a general lack of funding. 33% of countries choose to fund mental health care with less than 1% of the total health system funding. 33% of the other countries just spend just 1% of their healthcare budgets on mental health care. The remaining percent comes from the countries which have released no data regarding mental care budgets, and countries which do not allocate any capital towards this category. Mental health in the United States. In the U.S., mental health conditions are some of the most frequent causes of disability. A report by the Hopkins Medical Center outlines that mental conditions are often the leading cause of disability, especially in developed countries. Some of the main conditions worth pointing out include major depression, schizophrenia, obsessive compulsive disorder, and maniac depression. It has also been reported that the percentage of Americans with mental illness is steadily growing. Most of the time, U.S. individuals with mental health problems suffer from at least two conditions. A relevant example in this case is that the depressive illness, since most of the time the condition also comes along with anxiety disorder alongside substance abuse. So many people in society that struggle with mental health either abuse drugs. Not saying that it's for everybody or towards everybody, but a good percentage of the people with mental health disorders abuse drugs like daily. So it causes a lot of awareness towards that for me. Roughly 9.5% of U.S. citizens above 18 years old will encounter a depressive illness every year. These illnesses include major depression, a bipolar disorder. Likely in most of these cases, the conditions are diagnosed early. Thus, therapy and medication can be prescribed to ensure a quick and smooth recovery. As mental health statistics in the U.S. point out. So it says U.S. women are 2 times more likely to suffer from depression when compared to men. Studies reveal that gender of a person also determines the likelihood of developing a depressive disorder. The same study outlines that bipolar disorder is an incident in similar numbers for both men and women. And this is the point where I feel like mental disorder is really prevalent in people who commit suicide. It says most Americans who have committed suicide were suffering from a mental disorder. Suicide tendencies are more prevalent in people who suffer from a substance abuse disorder or from depression. Speaking of suicide, mental health in the United States, statistics indicate that men commit 4 times more suicides when compared to women. And on the other hand, women attempt to commit suicide a lot more when compared to their male counterparts. So, in my eyes, with this, if a male commits suicide, he does it more violently. He does a suicide more violently. For women, I think it's more of like overdose, or like something that is more subtle. But that's a big cause, suicide, in my eyes, of a mental disorder. More people kill themselves from suicide than anything. I mean, with a mental disorder, kill themselves. mental health statistics by state. A recent study carried out by the Mental Health America organization has determined that the states where mental illness are most common. It is important to note that the ranking below is based on several factors, like the number of adults suffering from mental illnesses, adults who are seriously considering suicide, adults suffering from a substance disorder, use with mental illness, suicidal youth available of the mental health workforce, adults who are unable to seek medical attention due to high costs, and more. As such, here are the states in order of percentage of Americans with mental health illness. So they're saying that Pennsylvania has the highest percentage of mental health illness, followed by New York, Vermont, Rhode Island, Maryland, Minnesota, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Iowa, and Connecticut. It says a recent study determines the U.S. states where mental health illnesses are least prevalent. Now that we have determined which U.S. states had the most mental illnesses, it's high time we mention the states where such illnesses are less prevalent. Namely, the list of states that have the lowest percentage of mental illness in the United States include the following: Nevada, Oregon, Idaho, Utah, Wyoming, Alaska, Washington, South Carolina, Montana, and Kansas. Upon closer inspection, we will notice that these states are less populous, so they don't really have many people to, that have mental illness. Then the states compromising our previous list, they're more rural as well. Hence, we can come to the conclusion that more populous urban areas bring with them their own set of troubles in this case, and increased percentages in mental illness cases. So the more populated the state is, the more prevalent mental illness is. Let's see. It says more than 37,500 UK students from a total of 104 universities suffer from a mental illness. This translates that roughly 1 in 5 students, according to the University Students' Mental Health Survey in 2018. Therefore, we can deduce that the worldwide numbers are considerably higher. Now, determining that exact number of people suffering from mental illness is extremely difficult, granted the negative stigma surrounding mental conditions. The real numbers on the global site are likely in the millions, as college students' mental health statistics suggested. So we're going to go to the teens. And it says, according to the Polaris Teen Century, 1 in 5 teens suffer from a mental illness. This unfortunate statistic illustrates that youths are as likely to get a mental illness as adults. Due to the young age, teens generally avoid seeking help, highlighting why it is important for parents to get to know their children and to know how to spot any warning signs of mental illness. Failure to do so usually leads to an aggressive or aggravation of illnesses, alongside the appearance of other form a long-term perspective. This youth mental health statistic is particularly true for teens in the 12 to 18 age group. So if you got early teens to late teens kids, man, talk to your kids, find out how they're feeling, find out if they have any issues, find out, just get to know the kid in itself, because it starts young. So let's nip it in the butt while we can. A study carried out by the University of Missouri concluded that if Facebook uses cause envy, depression follows. It says, let's see. Social media is well known for its impact on mental health, judging how numerous studies have been carried out within the last couple of years. Generally, while browsing social media, we often see what type of lives other people are leading. In many cases, these lives might seem considerably better, especially from a financial point of view. Therefore, the psychological response of envy is understandable, although not required. Granted that people usually post their best moments on social media rather than their day-to-day lives. Social media and mental health statistics suggest. Despite this, a Missouri study has determined that people who browse social media and get a feeling of envy are likely to become depressed. Another direct link has been established between nighttime social media and use of mental health conditions like sleep disruption, unhappiness, and depression. Mood swings are also bound to happen, according to a study published by the Lancer Psychiatry Institute. Hence, prolonged and improper social media use directly influences how many people suffer from mental illness. It is best for people to limit their overall social media use and actively keep in mind that posting exquisite lifestyle posts and photos are actually the job of social media influencers. Likely, social media use can be beneficial as long as the main purpose of using Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and other platforms is to better connect with friends, family, and acquaintances. For that, I'm really on the cusp, because I mean, yeah, people can show their best life moments, you know what I'm saying? But if there's no best life moments, then what is social media without, putting a big wedding on there, or you know what I'm saying? Those are memories. Like a year from that date, you're gonna get that memory back. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna remind you of how much of a joy and time that you had. And this is what I really wanted to get at, and then I'm gonna leave y'all with this. It says the impact of COVID-19 outbreak on mental health. 33% of U.S. adults reported mental health concerns since the COVID-19 outbreak. It says the people in the United States are more concerned about their mental health than their peers in other countries. Next in line is the United Kingdom and Canada with 26% of adult population worried, followed by France with 24%, Australia and New Zealand with 23%. CDC study shows that there is a 13% increase in substance abuse in response to the pandemic-related stress. It says the same study found an even more disrupting fact. Nearly 11% of correspondents in the study has seriously considered suicide in the last 30 days. This is a drastic increase in the same time period from 2019. 73% of young people have concerns for their mental health and feel the need to talk to someone about it. A devastating statistic regarding our youth shows that 1 out of 4 adolescents had felt the urge to seek help regarding both mental and physical well-being. Despite this, a staggering 40% didn't ask for help. Those that followed through requested help from their local health centers and specialized institutions. 50% of correspondence, religious institutions, 26%, and online services, 23%. The pandemic outbreak impacts women's more negative impacted women more negatively than men. It says here there is a gender gap regarding coronavirus related stress. 53% of women said that the coronavirus outbreak had a negative impact on their mental health, and only 37% of men. This gap is even more notable among parents. 57% of mothers compared to 32% of fathers said that their mental health is negatively affected by the pandemic. Conclusion, we hope that these mental illness statistics shed more light on the prevalence of mental illness amongst teens, adults, and elderly. Understanding that mental illnesses exist and are considered real diseases is the first step towards taking care of loved ones affected by these conditions. We hope that in the future, medical professionals and analysts will continue studying mental health, leading to the development of smarter therapies and more effective drugs. The stigma associated with mental health should be, as well as it stops people from seeking help, leading to worsening symptoms, disability, and in unfortunate cases, suicide. So that wraps up what I have to say. In closing, I just feel like everybody who has a mental health problem, everybody who's suffering from mental health should seek help, should go to family members, find out what's going on with your loved ones, see if they feel a certain type of way or they're battling with things. I mean, because if you look at it, this pandemic, even though it's slowing down now and things are coming back slowly but surely, people still suffer from mental health issues, and the pandemic really put a hit on people. So with that being said, man, I love y'all. I'm out. Just make sure y'all look at people, your loved ones, see if they need your help.